This is Tim Bryce with my column titled, What Happens If Trump Loses? Now, before we begin, let me be clear. I believe President Trump is going to win handily in November, but I've been pondering the consequences if he lost, which every American should consider. The polls tell us former Vice President Joe Biden is way ahead, just like they did for Secretary Hillary Clinton in 2016. Please remember, polls make their money not by telling the truth, but by creating controversy, just like the news media. Their surveying techniques are inconsistent and, as such, are flawed. If the poll said an incumbent was ahead, nobody would pay attention. But if the underdog is projected to win, then you've got something to peddle, which is what we have today in our presidential race. Just remember, none of the polls predicting a Biden victory were correct in 2016. In other words, don't hold your breath on Mr. Biden's chances. Nonetheless, we know what the president's track record is, but what if former Vice President Joe Biden won by some miracle? Running through this scenario should cause us to pause and think of the consequences. Here are 10 things to consider should the country elect Mr. Biden president. Number 10, Mr. Biden has said he will reinstitute a lot of the Obama-era regulations, thereby causing government bureaucracy to expand and thereby hindering business. Number 9, as for education, school choice will disappear, as will charter schools. The teaching of history and civics will continue to abate. The Common Core program, as introduced under the Obama administration, will likely return. Number 8, the United States will likely reverse several foreign policy initiatives, including the Paris Agreement for Climate Control, the Iran nuclear agreement, which former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley adamantly warns against, and other NATO and World Health Organization initiatives allowing our foreign allies not to pay their fair share of expenses. Number 7, whereas the Trump administration has made considerable progress in trade deals such as the USMCA in Japan and in India, look for the United States to cave on others, particularly China. Number 6, the Supreme Court will likely change. First, Justices Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Stephen Breyer will likely retire as they will be replaced by liberal candidates. No conservative member dare retire, as this would open the possibility of liberals controlling the court and writing legislation from the bench. Number 5, now that the far left has learned how to effect change, they will run amok and desecrate more historical icons and buildings. Law enforcement will be defunded, thereby hindering their ability to do their job and plummeting the country into chaos. It will not be a good time to be in law enforcement. Number 4, with the increase of Biden tax hikes, look for manufacturing jobs to move offshore again. Add to this elements of the new Green Deal, which will close fossil fuel companies, causing a spike in energy costs, all of which will force the cost of living standards skyward. We will, of course, lose our energy independence. Number 3, interest rates will rise sharply, thereby reducing home and automobile sales, which will hurt manufacturing and construction jobs. This will also signal the increase in unemployment, particularly among Latinos and African Americans. Number 2, as Mr. Biden has promised tax hikes if elected, the stock markets will experience a major sell-off immediately after the election, thereby devastating IRAs and 401ks. And number 1, bottom line, the economy will tank. My Democrat friends would claim this is an unrealistic doomsday scenario. Really? With minor exception, these same policies trace their roots back to those introduced under President Obama. Therefore, this represents a return to Obamonomics and his foreign policies. The reality is, if Mr. Biden is elected, the United States would not be the same type of country we knew just a few short years ago. It will embrace socialist agenda and drive businesses offshore. Basically, we will see the United States change in a similar manner as the state of California under Ronald Reagan, with a robust middle class, to today where the middle class is moving away, leaving a two-class state, the very rich and the very poor. Scary. Very scary. Frankly, I believe Mr. Biden to be in over his head. I still cannot comprehend how someone like Mr. Biden, who was beaten twice by Hillary Clinton, who was defeated by Mr. Trump, can beat the president. It just doesn't add up. It's your choice, America. Friends, keep the faith. This is Tim Bryce in Palm Harbor, Florida. Follow me on the internet at timbryce.com.